All right, team. We're here in the Fitzroy Motorsport garage. It's horrendously messy, but it is what it is. I've got the Escort, a whole front suspension out at the moment, getting the shocks rebuilt and stuff, and got a few little mods in that we're making to that. I thought I'd jump on here and do a bit of a video about shipping your car to Summernats and the sort of costs and everything that are involved. For a start, you're thinking about shipping your car to Australia to do burnouts at Summernats. It sounds like the dream, right? Well, the reality is it's a hell of a mission, and if you're not fully prepared, it can bite you hard. I mean, that's what happened to me. Beer o'clock. Before you even think about, loading the container, your car needs to be 100% ready. It needs to be not nearly there, not should be sweet. It needs to be bulletproof. Me, I learned the hard way. A month out, we had chasing little dramas, the gearbox was in and out, trying to find the right torque converter, electrical dramas. It was a bit of a shitstorm actually. And then the day before, I had to get the car to Auckland. We were on the dyno thinking we were sweet, and we weren't. There were still electrical dramas, but we sent it anyway thinking we'll just fix it at Summernats. Big mistake. Lesson one learnt. Never ship the car that isn't 100% dialed. It's not worth it. It's not worth the stress. All right, so then once you think your car is 100% ready to send, you have to then clean your car from top to bottom. So you got to get underneath there. You need to get rid of all the dust, the dirt, the grime, the oils, the rubbers, inside and out. Basically, it has to be as clean as you possibly can make it, because when you send your car to another country, especially somewhere like Australia, who have quite tight border controls and whatnot, if Summernats is the worst, because your car's going to get there, say, mid-December. So you're going into Christmas. The docks, the ports, they must shut down over the Christmas period. So if you don't get your car clean and they spot something in it and they quarantine it or they clean it, they're going to charge you for that. But worse, it might get hung up in the docks and you might miss Summernats. So step one, get your car ready, 100%. Step two, clean your car, 100%. Make sure the rims, everything are clean. Okay, step three, all right? Make yourself a good list of everything you need to ensure you can keep your car running. So all the tools you need, your tuning cable, battery chargers, tools, just anything that you need to do the maintenance on your car. Oil filter, oils, brake clean, CRC, all that kind of stuff. Make a list so that you've got everything. Trolley jack. You don't want to be relying on anyone else. You want to go there 100% relying on yourself. You also want to itemize everything that you're taking too, because you need that for the carnet. So that's another part of the shipping is the carnet, which we'll get to shortly. Right, let's move on now to the breakdown of what it costs to get your car to Summernats. So for me, I'm based in Wellington. I have to get my car to the shipper, which was in Auckland. So that's a 14-hour return trip. Let's say $300 to $400 in fuel expense plus a night's accommodation. Well, I usually just stay at a mate's anyway, so we're still $300 or $400 in diesel and mileage. And that's to get to the shippers. So we dropped the car off at the shipyard at Jacana's this time, and then they got loaded a week or so later into a container. So obviously you want to book your flights. I fly from Wellington to Sydney, and then I drive from there. So $800 return. Well, if you book early enough, you can get it cheaper. But let's just say between $600 and $1,000 return. So the shipping, a 20-foot container will roughly run you about $8,000. And you can fit two cars in there, so you can go halves on that with someone. So that's give or take. So it does change depending on the time, when you're shipping, the dates, all that kind of stuff. But budget on around $8,000 for a 20-foot container. The carnet, so that's like a bond. So you pay a bond to send your car to Australia, and you pay. It's obviously the government takes it, they hold it there, they give it back once your car's home and returned with everything that you took. So basically, you're looking at 25% of your car and equipment value. So if you say your car's worth $100,000, they want $25,000, which they will hold in a bond until you return. So you have to be prepared for that. If you want to say your car's only worth $10,000, well then that's up to you. You know, $2,500 as a bond. But then obviously when you claim insurance, so if you're insuring your car and you're saying it's only worth $10,000, but the car now you've said it's worth $100,000 or vice versa, that didn't really make sense, but you get what I mean. Yeah, so my insurance was around $1,800. Now that only covers damage in transit. That doesn't cover anything that happens at Summernats or whatnot. So yeah, up to you. Storage in Australia. So if your car gets there a couple of weeks beforehand, it's going to have to be stored somewhere. So I would budget on $25 a day, unless you've got someone that can pick the car up for you. We had a truck take our car from Sydney to Canberra and return. So that was around, say, $1,500 return. But that was for 2 cars. Maybe it was a bit cheaper. Maybe $1,100 for 2 cars, so $1,100 each, or $1,500 on its own. And then we rented a car when we got to Sydney to drive to Canberra. So say $550 for the rental car and the tolls and the insurance. Accommodation, 7 days, about $1,000. I budget on about $100 a day for food and drink. So, you know, $700 for the 7 days. I mean, you're at Summernats. It's fucking $10 a drink, plus, you know, food's expensive. You know, you got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Plus, if you like me, you like to have a few beersies. So budget on $100 a day, food and drink. So entry fees, so it's about $350 for the entry fees into Summernats. Then I bought a $150 vehicle pass so that I could drive into Summernats. So I think you only get that option if you've got a pro ticket. And then you also have to buy like a camping pass for your car. So even though we were in a marquee, we'd paid for a marquee, we still had to buy a camping pass, which was weird. But I think that's so you can come and go at any time of the night. Marquee hire, we were in the Myers marquee, about $1,200 off the top of my head. Fuel you can only buy at Summernats for your car. You can't bring fuel in, and their price was like $3 or $4 a litre. I only spent $150 on fuel for my car. Obviously I didn't do many laps, and I broke the transmission on the fucking second day, and yeah, so we used maybe 1 tank. I got 1 set of tyres off as well, so maybe $160. So that's the total cost of my Summernats trip. We're just going to put that here because I haven't added up. I don't know what it was off the top of my head, but hopefully I'm showing it right now. But then, okay, I thought I'd jump in here while I'm doing the editing. So I'm trying to give you the ballpark figure of what it would cost. All right, so there's a couple of costs I need to deduct out of this. Basically, I didn't have to pay for shipping because that was part of the package through Downtime Entertainment. So I take that out of my costs. I also didn't have to pay the $350 entry fee because we had won a pro ticket. So that was covered. So, but if you just were entering as a normal person, it's $350. So we can take those costs out of the total cost for this trip. Now that doesn't cover the aftermath. And I'm not going to put in the cost of the aftermath because my wife might watch this and yeah, she might find out. But the aftermath cost was a transmission rebuild, a new alternator, new steam ports, new shifter cable because I melted the shifter cable, new wiring, fluids, you know, like full oil change, transmission fluids, and a set of tyres to replace the set that I had blown off. So that's Summernats done and dusted. Now, if you, like us, stay on for a period of time to do some more comps, well, then you're going to have to look at where you're going to store the car and how are you going to transport the car. So we'd already paid for our cars to get back to Sydney, so basically we had to find somewhere from Sydney to store the cars. Because I had such a disastrous Summernats event, because I broke everything, my car actually got taken by Mick Pratton back to his house, and he took care of everything for me. So I was lucky he came and traded my car to his house where it stayed in storage the whole time I was in Australia, and he did the work and whatnot. So if you have got no friends or you've got no contacts in Sydney, well then you have to think of where am I going to store the car. Sean's car went to Brisbane, to Red's house, which I think was like a 20-hour drive or something along those lines. So, there's a lot of cost factored into that as well. I think Hayden's car went somewhere in Sydney to a mate's house. So you got to have contacts, man. So I would like to... So that's Summernats done and dusted, I reckon. So that was the cost of that. So the next trip, like the boys did Bonanza. I didn't do Bonanza because I was somewhere else at the time and couldn't. But I then wanted to... So basically my transmission had been rebuilt. All the work had been done on it by Mick. And he then did a test skid in it to make sure we were good to go. He did the test skid, but the car was still lacking. Like the tune was all wrong right from the start, from when we got it there. Once again, we sent the car and it wasn't 100%. So, yeah. So I wanted to get over there and get the car dynoed before we did Brashernats or whatever, because I didn't want to look like a fool like I did at Summernats. So I made a plan to get the car to the tuner, and just so happens there was an event on the way back, so it worked out perfect. So basically I flew from Wellington to... Well, the plan, I'd booked flights to fly from Wellington to Sydney. Sean flew over from Auckland to Sydney. But on the day of my flights, there was catastrophic weather and the airport got shut all day. The only way I wouldn't be able to make it for another 2 days, which would have fucked everything. So I made a bit of a plan and I drove to Wellington Airport, left my car there, picked up a rental car and drove to Auckland to catch a flight out the next morning so that I could meet up with Sean, because Sean was already there. So I couldn't pull the trip. I had to go. Sean was already there. So basically there was like, so my original flight from Wellington to Sydney was about $400, scrapped. Didn't even get a refund on it. Rental car to Auckland was around $250, I think. Yeah, it's about $250. So I was able to drive that from Wellington to Auckland. I got an $80 speeding ticket on the way, so I have to factor that into the cost. And then I managed to get a flight first thing out of Auckland to Sydney, but that was at a horrendous cost of around $1,200. $1,200. So that was an extra $1,200 onto my trip that I hadn't budgeted on. So once we got to Auckland, once I got to Sydney, we then get a rental ute. So best way to do it, well, for me, it was just, you don't muck around like Avis, somewhere you have a commercial department, so you can just get a commercial ute, which has a canopy and a tow hook and everything on it, so I was good to go. I didn't have to get a trailer because I was able to borrow Mick's trailer, so that was less stress. What I will say though, the rental ute with tolls and insurance ended up costing around $1,500 for the 5 days. So the base rate's around $400 or $500, but I took the most expensive insurance just to be safe. And then because I picked it up from the airport, they charged me like a premium location fee, and then the tolls. But what I got stung with, because we did so much driving, I only got 700 free kilometres, but we did about 1,800 kilometres. So it worked out to be about $1,500 for that ute, plus $500 for fucking diesel. But yeah, I would suggest if anyone was doing it and you're doing it that way, pay the extra for the extra insurance, reduce the bond, get the windscreen cover, all that, the tyre cover, because both times I hired the ute, I got windscreen stone chips, and so I would have been up shit creek if I hadn't got the extra insurance, So we head to the dyno. Dyno was around $750. Turns out we had a shit set of coils, so I had to buy a new set of coils, which was around $650. Plus, I spent about $150 on E85 for that trip. It was on the pump there, so it wasn't too bad. Then on the way back, we stopped at Wagga and we entered their comp. That was around $250, plus we got a free t-shirt. Because under their insurance, they're part of that AASA or something on those lines. So I had to buy a day license, so that was an extra $60. And part of their rules is blower cars have to have blower restraints. So I found that out a week before. So I had to then buy a set of blower restraints, which was another $1,000. So this trip, the Wagga trip ended up being the most expensive because of all the bits and pieces, but, it is what it is. 3 sets of tyres, about $600 because one was a set of coloured because that's all I had. So afterwards, maintenance was about $400, oil change, filter, and then melted another shifter cable. So another $200 for a shifter cable, and then we pulled the headers and everything off, wrapped the shifter cable and all that kind of stuff. So fingers crossed we're not going to have another shifter cable meltdown because we've already done 2 on this trip, 2 burnouts, 2 shifter cables. Accommodation for me and Sean for the 5 days or whatever it was, maybe $800. Food and drinks, once again, around $600. And the return flight home back to Wellington, about $400. I could also include $100 for parking at Wellington Airport. But the price, I'm going to put right here, boom, 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 ching, was what it was cost, what my Wagga trip cost. But then after Wagga, there was still a few things needed doing, which Mick took care of because he is a freaking legend. But it meant when we flew over for Brashernats that everything was ready. We just had to pick up the car and go and skid. So pretty much fast forward to Brashernats. It's the final leg. Return flights from Wellington to Sydney around $700. My rental ute was once again quite expensive, $1,300 this time. We didn't rack up as many kilometres. About $300 in diesel, about $750 in accommodation for the 4 nights. The entry fee with a t-shirt was around $220. Only did 1 set of tyres, $150. Now listen, all I wanted to do because I had such a disastrous trip was tick Brashernats off the bucket list. So 1 set of tyres and I was happy. So get out there, do the 1 set of tyres, boom, gone, let's go. They went off a bit quicker than what I was expecting, so I didn't really do a very good burnout, but it is what it is. I didn't go to the playpen, I didn't do the skid row, 1 set of tyres, then I can get up to filming and doing the other stuff that I wanted to do. So then about $500 for that trip for food and drink. Half a day at Washworld, maybe about $50 to prepare the car to send to back home. Replacement tyres for return shipping, so about $1,200. So I'd used all my tyres that I took over. Because of the Carne, what we took over must come back. So for some reason, tyres aren't considered a consumable, so we had to bring back tyres. So I just got new ones. So yeah, that was about $1,200. And then, obviously head out, drop them off to the shippers, whatnot, and then the return flight home. So that was Brashernats done and dusted. So total cost for Brashernats was bada bing, bada boom. Don't know what it is, but we'll insert it here. So some pro tips from one skidder to you, another skidder. Being self-sufficient is key. Contacts, being prepared, budget realistically, and you've just got to go in all in or don't bother, basically, because what are you going to Australia for if you're not going all in? You can't do it on a skimpy budget. You have to be able to make sure you've got, a plan. Biggest thing, make contacts. When you go, make contacts. Beforehand, make contacts. That was my saving grace, was Mick and Liz Pratton. Fuck, I don't know where I would have been without them. I didn't have to pay for any trailer hire because I used their trailer. No storage because we stored at their house. And Mick did all the work on it, One other thing in Aussie, none of the usual places will hire you a trailer unless you've got an Australian driver's license. So there are avenues. Marketplace, you can look for a trailer on Marketplace. But yeah, that was a real struggle trying to find a trailer anyway. Take some spares. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The whole trip was insane. It was expensive. It was chaotic, and I'd do it all again. Because once you hit the pad, let's go, baby. Let's fucking go. I've done 2 Summernats trips. I I've hit the wall both times, so I feel like Summernats is 2-0 on me. So I feel like I still need to get back there, but for some reason I just lose all the confidence when I get in front of big crowds or I get in front of, when it matters. So yes, I want to get back to Summernats. Yes, I want to get back to Australia. I think though, if I was going to go back to Australia, man, I'd want to hit some of the smaller towns, the smaller burnout comps, because someone's ringing me. Yo.
Hello? You order Chinese food? Oh, we got our food here. It's cold outside. Oh, you fat fuck. You got egg roll, you got dumplings, spare ribs, you got everything. Everything.
You know, you want to, if you've got the contacts and you can make it happen, definitely going for more than just one event is the way to go, because you want to milk that time. You know, the shipping's not cheap, so milk that time over there. And what I would love to do is some of the smaller rural type events. That Wagga Burnout party was so good. It was relaxed. I had a brilliant time there because it wasn't so serious. The big comps are serious. There's big money involved, you know. So yeah. Do I want to do it again? Of course I do. Not right now. Maybe in a couple more years. I need to sort of get some funding behind me. I mean, I'm quite lucky in the way that obviously we have our own business, but I do a lot of side hustles as well. You know, like obviously had the buses, and you know I've got to do the design work on the side. Like the Summernats trip, I actually sold advertising and all the vlogs. You know, we've got little forms of income here, there. You know, we do quite well in the merch sales. So, yeah, it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig for anyone, I think. But yeah, I don't know how those guys are doing it in America, man. That looks, I guess it's probably closer than it is to us. But yeah, one day. But for now, I definitely want to get back over, and I want to go to I want to get to WA and go check out how those guys party, and also probably get back and go over to the Riviera Thrashers, Brashernats, because I had such a good time there, and they have the mean after party afterwards, so getting involved in that, mate. Let's go! That's the end of this video. Make sure you drop a comment below, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of jargon. We're trying to grow the channel. I want to try and be at 10,000 subs by the end of the year. Because YouTube is freaking hard, man. But yeah, we out. Peace.